What is going on, everybody? Is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we are going to be doing our 3-round mock draft with trades split up into 3 different days. So if you guys are new, would love for you guys to join the community, like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff that you always do. We just breached 6K literally about a week ago, so already seen that growth over past 6,100 on the way to 62. So thank you guys so much for that growth. It's been exponential and it's been absolutely awesome. So all thanks to you guys. Of course, if you guys have not already done so, join the Discord. We dropped a fan mock draft, the first one I've done in a long time, this past Monday. So being able to do that with you guys was super awesome, and there's sign-up sheets for that. You can only go through the Discord for it, and there's also stuff over there that we can't do on YouTube, like all 22 tape studies that I love to do with you guys. You get to get a view why I have my big board, and I know you guys are going to have a problem with my big board, especially in the top 2, because of the fact that I love players that, not many people do. And I would love to show you guys rather than you guys going off on me, because honestly, I think it's just fun for all of us to come to a consensus, or for us just to agree to disagree so long as we get to watch it together. I think that's the best part, being able to spend time with you guys. I digress, but again, it's absolutely free. You're the only one missing out on it. Of course, I'm missing out on you, but you're the one missing out on the opportunities that a lot of other people, over 500 now, are enjoying. So feel free to join there. Let's get right into this. You guys are probably wondering what I'm wearing. And yes, for Christmas, I got a Micah Parsons Penn State jersey. So this is fucking badass, and I just wanted to wear it because, of course, Cam Rising wasn't there, but, Penn State kicked ass, obviously, in their bowl game. So we want to show some love for them. Actually, the shirt underneath this is a Penn State one as well. I have some friends that go to Penn State, so being able to represent them always is a fun thing, especially when you get a Micah Parsons jersey from Penn State, because that's kind of my dream ever since NIL came out with the ability to have name, image, and likeness, and personalized jerseys. So let me know what you guys think of the whole entire ability to get something like a Micah Parsons Penn State jersey. I digress. Let's get into the mock draft. So pick number 1. This is still, to me, Bryce Young. Now, there is potentially the option, I think, of the Colts getting the number 1 pick based off of the results next week. But for right now, let's just stay confident in Bryce Young. Now, again, there is issues with his size. I will say this again. Just like the way we look at big QBs and we're like, oh, they could be like Josh Allen. Just because it's happened doesn't mean it's a rule. Just because it doesn't happen doesn't mean it's a rule. Now, the trends usually show that, at least in the current marketplace, there's not very much success from small quarterbacks. That's true. It doesn't mean that it can't be. And I think Bryce Young has that elite level processor. He has a great play style, super elusive, very good pocket maneuverability and awareness, and the ability to raise up the talent around him. He's been playing with, honestly, one of the worst Bama teams we've seen in a long time, and we've seen him in situations where he looks very mortal. This team looks very mortal, rather than the more so juggernauts that we have seen before. So you're really seeing translatable tape, and there are bad plays here and there, 100%. But you can't say that about, you can say that about every single quarterback in this class. And Bryce Young is somebody who we've seen overcome those moments, or the rest of the team lets him down, rather than he being the reason for it. So really do love Bryce Young. Playstyle like Deshaun Watson, doesn't have the frame of it, but this is just a guy where I'm willing to take a shot and see if he's able to succeed or fail. Injuries, again, could be that concern, but if that limits his career to 10 years rather than 20, I'm sure there's somebody in the next 10 years that will come along and be able to replace him. So I think it's a totally amazing bet. The question is, will you even be in position to be able to draft him? That is another question for another day. Pick number 2. Now, the Bears should be at least intrigued with trading out of this spot. I do see teams that probably would like to jump the Colts for CJ Stroud, and we might see a team like Carolina try to jump him for CJ Stroud. But this is all live for you guys who don't know. So we're going to definitely see what happens there. I do think that the price of moving up this high, a little too much. Again, the number 2 pick, valued at roughly, 2,600 points based off of the current scale. But, that is extremely tough to pay for. From the number 3 spot, it's worth, I believe, the 2nd and potentially the 3rd round pick to be able to move up to 2. That's really expensive. The next year first is worth about 1,000, and at that point, you're at pick number 8. You're having to pay at least 2, if not 3 first, because we're talking about QB tax here, to move up to 2. If I'm the Bears, we're too far away from being ready, and I personally would just love to sit back, wait, and get the best value, get the best players. And I don't think a trade at this moment is necessarily the best value. CJ Stroud has given them an option for that to be potentially what happens. But in this situation, we're going to go with the same old. It's a very consistent top three. I don't think I need to explain much for Seattle. You get the leftovers of Will Anderson and Jalen Carter. I'll explain Jalen a little bit right now. He got double-teamed quite a bit. He's the guy where everybody's trying to scheme away from him. Similar to how people said Hutchinson he played very poorly versus Georgia last year. They schemed the entire game around getting away from getting away from Aiden Hutchinson. Same thing from Jalen Carter. Everybody knows it's Jalen Carter and the Georgia defense. And Jalen Carter, his potential, his ceiling is the highest out of anybody in the class. Like, just when you get someone who's super dominant, Chris Jones, Aaron Donald, in that middle of the current era, you really see their impact on a down-to-down basis in ways that even edge rushers can't. You can't step up into the pocket. You can't roll away. It's just so tough to get away from someone who absolutely destroys your pocket. So I think just Jalen Carter provides the most upside out of anybody in the class. Is he at number 4 on my board because of that? No. He should be at number 1 in that case. But the inconsistencies is where I have a little bit of an issue with him. However, the Bears are really good at developing defensive linemen, and I think that's a great spot for him to go. The Cardinals, this is going to be a trade-out spot. Talked about it in my mock draft that I did yesterday, which was no trades, so feel free to check that out. You guys are getting 3 mocks this week, and I don't do this because of the money or anything. I just genuinely like to give you guys different scenarios. So fan mock draft, that's obviously has nothing to do with me. Then we have stuff like no trade mocks, where it's like, damn, there's nothing good at this spot. Myles Murphy would be great, but like not worth it for a team that kind of needs to rebuild. But this is a great spot with CJ Stroud performing so well, and you do have the Colts sitting here just like rubbing their hands together, getting excited. You have to trade out. And I do think the Colts might just want to make that one move up. But I think the Cardinals are looking for a little bit more draft capital than that. And looking at teams that could definitely be looking for CJ Stroud, hell, you can see the Titans try to make a big move. This is a team that's been leading the division consistently. But my issue is the Titans don't have the offensive line to support CJ Stroud. They don't have the weapons to support CJ Stroud. And could CJ eventually elevate above that? We've never seen him have to elevate players. Never really had to see it because the talent around him is so good. Like, I'm always the one who's very critical on CJ, but at the same time, you got to give credit where credit's due. He played very well. And if you can lift up talent around you, that's going to be everything in the NFL because, there's a limited salary. But we just haven't seen that. And that's a little bit more scary versus Bryce. We've seen him elevate talent. So I am going to be trading out of this spot. Could the Falcons move up for CJ Stroud? It is very possible. I think that the Falcons still are definitely looking for their QB of the future. And I heard that they're going in free agency on the D-line. My buddy Cam Marino on Twitter, he's not obviously paying me to say anything about him, but I gotta respect his grind. He works his ass off, and he makes some stuff that I don't fully agree with, but that's because he's really trying his best to be open, honest, and original, and that's perfectly fine. I fully respect that. So I do think the Falcons could be a team that moves up here. Again, you could see the Panthers also trying to move up into this range. And I haven't done this with the Panthers in a hot minute. I have no idea why the hell they aren't at least listed in here. But the Vegas Raiders, you're in a division with so many good QBs, and you are probably going to be getting rid of Derek Carr. This is the exact quarterback I do want for this team. I believe we're going to have to pay 2 firsts for it. It's just going to be the general cost of doing business with the QB tax, because you will have teams like Carolina trying to offer maybe one of their second-round picks and maybe a next year third to move up, because first-round picks are very valuable. But the Vegas Raiders, you're in a division with elite quarterbacks, right? And Josh McDaniels, you can't get rid of him. You can't pay 3 coaches' salaries. That's just impossible. So this way, you're at least able to trade with an AFC partner rather than an NFC. And at that rate, you're going to be able to only face CJ if you're playing him during the regular season. But in the playoffs, only in the Super Bowl. And if he ends up working out, awesome. But for the Vegas Raiders, Josh McDaniels has done a great job with distributors. Could this end up being Jimmy G? Could this end up being Tom Brady? 100%. And I don't think the Vegas Raiders necessarily have the offensive line either. But For the Cardinals, I think just adding draft capital is crucial, and you don't even get that far out of range of getting somebody absolutely awesome. So Vegas going to be the team that moves up to select CJ Stroud. So there we go. CJ is off the board, and below my face is my own personal board. So if you guys are wondering why the hell is there a random list right below his face, that's why. So you guys get to see my board. Do I go solely off it? No, because I think that's called a fantasy mock draft. I like to blend it with the boards of other people to be able to give you a nice curation of a mock draft. I just want you guys to know what I think, and I don't always have to talk about why I love a player because you get to see where they're at. So pick number 5, I still think that this is probably going to be a QB. It's just Will Levis is getting a ton of hype, even like number 1 overall hype, and like that's tough. That's tough. Would I potentially trade out of this spot? Yes. I would potentially try to trade out of it. But at the same time, I do know that there are other teams that are trying to vie for quarterbacks like Will Levis. I think a team exactly right here is the Titans, another team in your division. Do you think that if the Colts pass on him, that there's a chance of you facing Will Levis twice a year? If he pans out, that's not very fun to face Derrick Henry and Will Levis with every single year, twice a year at least. So I think the right move is to go Will Levis. Irsay's kind of tired of those sloppy seconds. I think Derek Carr would be a great option if you don't want to spend a top 5 pick on a QB. But this is also not the class to go after offensive line that early because there's just not that clear-cut, amazing talent without the red flags. I love Peter Skoronski. Those arms are a concern. I don't think the height's a concern at all, but I do think that the arm length is definitely a concern. Pick number 6, though. I think Myles Murphy is a great option here. I think Joey Porter is a great option here. And I always go Joey Porter. I always do. Man, I really want to continue going Joey Porter. We're going to go Joey Porter. We're going to do it. I think corner in this class, a lot thinner than I personally like versus edge rushers just so deep. You can definitely get someone of Myles Murphy talent level at your next spot. So Joey Porter Jr., going to be the pick. I know y'all love it. It's going to be the pick I continue rocking with. Pick number 7, I am not going to think about this very much. Myles Murphy. I know I said that you guys are going to try to fix a D-line in free agency. Hard to think that someone of Myles Murphy's talent level is going to be there at 7. You guys have pretty much been one of the worst teams, if not the worst, in terms of pass rush over the past 2 seasons, especially in terms of sack production. So being able to get someone like Myles Murphy talent level is going to be great because not only does he open up opportunities for guys like Arnold Ebiketie, D'Angelo Malone, but he also helps out in the run game, and especially when you're facing against, who else is in that division? Alvin Kamara. I don't even know if I really want to put Leonard Fournette in that category, but teams that are going to be more run heavy, especially without Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette might be the backbone of that team. You're going to need somebody who could be more consistent in that front, and Myles Murphy is just super consistent, and that's awesome. I'm very happy to see that he's going to be doing that. So pick number 8, this could have been Myles Murphy as well, but this might end up being Kelee Ringo. I know y'all, like everybody's down on Kelee, including myself. I'm not that high on Kelee Ringo, but this is a spot where I do think that he's going to be able to maximize his potential. You have very rangy linebackers that can cover the shorter range, and you can use him more as a deep threat. He's built phenomenally. 6'2", 210 pounds. He can play the run very well. It's a team where he could definitely thrive, and he's going to be testing in the 4.2s, if not low 4.3s. Like worst case scenario, he's going to be testing like 4.33, and again at that size, ridiculous. If you can mold him into a top tier corner, that's going to be great. You've done it with Marco Wilson, right? So being able to do it with Kelee Ringo, it is feasible. Now let's look at other options really quickly. Like you can get Bryan Bresee. I don't like Bryan Bresee, but this is just a spot where I would look at another trade out. I would. And you could see a team like the Titans saying, hey, we want Quentin Johnston. We do. We don't want him going maybe to the Panthers or something like that. We could trade up for him. Just not worth it. There's just nobody worth trading up for at this spot. So you're stuck here. You got that extra first-round pick. Enjoy that first-round pick. And we're going to draft Kelee Ringo to this team. Again, because he's going to be a combine warrior. Y'all know how much value the combine really adds when a player performs at a phenomenal level. And they've been able to ice games like the national championship. So the production's there. Even though he gets toasted by Marvin Harrison, I know the stat line doesn't say it, but y'all know the eye test, you see that he gets toasted. That is a Hall of Famer probably right there that he's playing. But the athleticism and production is there. That's usually what gives the nod. And you get that extra first-round pick. Maybe that gets sent for Sean Payton. You never know. Never know. Pick number 9. So I'm sitting here. I've heard a lot of people actually bring up Quentin Johnston into this equation. Very intriguing. I don't fully agree that you'd go a first-round wide receiver here. I think that an edge rusher, that should be on the board. QB should be on the board if you have an option at the top 3. Anthony Richardson, I mean, I'm at the point where you might as well just wait. Might as well. But, Jared Verse, love that idea. If you trade back and get Jared Verse, even better. But, I mean, man, I've never thought about Quentin Johnston. Let me know what you other fans say, because I've only heard it from one particular Panthers fan. So, shout out to you. But, yes, I do read the comments. I think corner could be on the board. And I love the idea of Cam Smith. I do. I don't see any team trying to trade up for anybody at this moment. Like looking at even the guys in my top 10, Isaiah McGuire, I don't believe he's going to be going in the first. So the earliest I'd ever take him is late first. Because again, I like to give you guys something that's more realistic. But like Jared Verse, Jalen Jones, like Jared Verse is an option for us for sure. But deep edge class, I don't think it's necessary when you can get someone like Cam Smith. I do think that boundary corner position is something where you guys have been consistently saying it. Alex, you need to start targeting that corner position. Christian Gonzalez is an absolute freak as well for this team. You can choose between the two. I love the idea of going Cam Smith. I already went him once, though. It's really not going to be that big of a difference. Christian Gonzalez is like 15 to 20 pounds heavier, and he has great ball skills. I'm going to take Christian Gonzalez here. I know we're losing out on the South Carolina story, but definitely a really fun player to watch, and I do believe that he could end up being a very nice Panther. So pick number 10 for the Eagles, probably going to end up being a trade back here. I love the idea of going Jared Verse or Tyree Wilson, but I can also just be perfectly happy by getting the hell out of this position and ending up getting him later. And Howie is the master at getting like third-round picks. So let's see a team that might be in range for someone like Quentin Johnston that would probably love to do that. And I'm looking right here. We could see another swap, another like 2 or 3 pick swap with the Texans. They did it last year. Definitely possible because I think the Texans don't want the Titans to have an option at getting Quentin Johnston. And I think that's fair. No teams are wanting to trade with them. They can kiss my cheeks. And again, this is probably going to end up being, 96 is the first of the fourth. I don't think that Howie's going to be happy with that. But I also know that the Texans, you might want to have like more quantity than quality. So, I mean, at that point, we already have, you guys have a stacked amount of picks. Hello. You guys are going to ask for a next year 5th in return. I think Howie's going to be fine with that. You end up getting that 3rd-round pick, which is going to affect this mock draft. So stay tuned, Eagles fans. You guys are going to have an extra pick in the 3rd. But you guys are moving up for Quentin Johnston, giving a nice, reliable X receiver for Bryce Young to just say, fuck it, we're throwing it to him. And DeAndre Hopkins, not too far off from a comparison. So, you're getting kind of like, I guess, the unknown/Walmart versions of DeAndre Hopkins as well as Deshaun Watson. And that seemed to be a pretty nice duo here. That just came to my mind. So, again, Quentin Johnston, not too far off of a comp from him. Pick number 11. So when you're given the rest of these options, Jordan Addison should be at least considered, but I want to get offensive line. I want to be able to solve it. Peter Skoronski has that nastiness to him. He's a really good run blocker, but his proficiency has been in the pass blocking, which, he has shorter arms, but to be fair, I think the guard spot is also open in case he can't fit at tackle, and that is great. He's going to fit on your team somewhere. He's a really good blocker all around, and whether it's Malik Willis, whether it's going to be another QB, it's the perfect spot for him just to sit back, relax, and be himself. I think the Eagles could have went after Peter Skoronski. I do believe that Anton Harrison should at least be in consideration because of Lane Johnson's uneasiness about his career. But I'd rather take a late-round flyer and try to develop that guy before I start investing high capital in a team that's more Super Bowl ready. But at pick number 12, edge rusher, corner, those are the positions I obviously love to look at for this team, and I think that is the most likely. You could, again, go offensive line. I haven't tried that out for you guys yet. I might try it next week's mock. So we'll see about that, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it. But Cam Smith's here. Definitely feel like he should at least be considered. But Eli Ricks declared. I think that's a great option in the later first for you guys maybe to move up for. So Tyree Wilson, I think that like him or Jared Verse are going to be phenomenal on this squad. I think Tyree Wilson needs a little bit more polishing, but you do have guys there that are able to polish. Jared Verse, he doesn't necessarily fit because he's 250. You usually go 265 plus, or with Hassan Reddick, 235. So I want to try it out. I want to go Tyree Wilson because you have all those guys there. I've done Jared Verse multiple weeks in a row. Fun to try something new. But you have all those great veterans there that can definitely polish a guy who's just super high potential. And I'm going to scroll down on my board so you guys get to see even more of the players here. Yes, I have some very unique takes, but at the same time, I also want to make sure that it's honest from what my eyes see, because no one's right. I mean, I know I'm going to be wrong about probably plenty of these guys, probably a majority. But the fact is, if I love a player, I'm not afraid to say it. So hopefully you guys respect that. Pick number 13 for the Jets. I'm back at the offensive tackle position. Like, you could go linebacker here. And my only issue with going linebacker at this spot with Trent Simpson is I know I can get someone like Jack Campbell later on, maybe even Noah Sewell. Like, I'm perfectly fine waiting on a linebacker. I really am. I could definitely see you guys going after Brian Branch, though. I don't think the issue with this team is necessarily the defense, though. And the tackle health has just not been good enough. So I'm actually going to go after potentially Broderick Jones, but Anton Harrison has moved up as my tackle number 2. And I'm absolutely over the moon about this guy, because the thing about Anton, yes, he has his flaws, but he's also played games at right tackle. I love that versatility because injuries happen a lot in the NFL, and this guy has proven reps at those positions. Also, he was my tackle 1 starting out the year. He proved to be worth it. He lets up pressures here and there, yes, but I look at why he lets those up, and it's more of technique than his actual talent. So I think with the right coaching, with the right situation, and we've seen offensive linemen develop very well here, his athleticism is good enough to be able to keep him in constant contention, especially in this division. I personally want to go Anton Harrison here. So again, somebody who I could have drafted for this team many times at later picks, but I don't think I want to take a shot, especially with New England sitting here at 21, at them potentially moving up for a star offensive lineman. Doesn't feel like it's something they would do, but I don't want to just throw it to the wind and throw caution to the wind and say, hey, I'm going to take whatever is left over. I want to get the guy who's right for me. Anton Harrison feels like that. Pick number 14 for Washington. Quarterback, you could go Anthony Richardson here. I don't want to. It's just, I'm not going to. That's just not me. So, maybe cornerback, we'll go back to that route. Cam Smith is here, and Jalen Jones is as well. I think that might be your best bet. You have Bryan Bresee on the board. He decided to come out, but that was after some time of deliberation. And to me, that communicates that he's saying that he heard that probably you're going to be pick 20 plus. You're going to be a first rounder maybe, but it's not a guarantee you're going to be going high. And for him, he's like, oh, I could go back for a year and solidify myself as a top 10 player, or I can come out, get my money, and then be on an impactful team. And to me, if he knew it was going to be higher, if he was like, okay, I'm going to be a top 10 pick, top 15 pick, he would have came out immediately. So the deliberation to me feels like in reality, he's probably in this range. And I have him much later than that, but not going to be considering him for any team here in this spot. But Cam Smith, that is an interesting one, because I would love to test out how this guy would work in this defense. And I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I haven't done Cam Smith. I haven't done a corner for this team in a hot minute. So I've always been going offensive line. It'd be nice just to test out someone like Cam Smith for the squad. Pick number 15 for the Steelers. Cornerback and offensive line, those are the 2 positions I really want to target. Now, you could go after defensive line here. Bryan Bresee would work for the Steelers. I don't like Bryan Bresee that much, but if there's a team that would develop him, if there's a guy, if there's a mentor I would want, it would be Cam Hayward. So we could test that out. And, he's so limited in the production that he's had. The injuries keep stacking up. It is a spot where, I would love to potentially trade Deontay Johnson in a second and get Jordan Addison too. I'm just going to be honest. Like, trade him to the Packers and then get Jordan Addison to have that nice little pairing. But, I mean, Bryan Bresee, this tackle class is just too thin. It's just too thin. I don't trust Dan Moore. I don't trust Chukwuma Okorafor. So I want somebody who could play on the left side and the right. That's probably going to be Paris Johnson, even though he's far lower than Broderick Jones is on my board. I love the athleticism and the versatility. And I haven't seen a marquee game of Paris Johnson where he looked out of his depth. I've seen him look uncomfortable, but not out of his depth. Versus Isaiah McGuire, Broderick Jones looked out of his depth at points. So that's my only note right there. 16 for the Packers. I do think edge rusher is in consideration here. Jared Verse would be an awesome athletic freak, but I don't know if he's good enough against the run at this moment. I still want to go after the guy I went after earlier. I think Michael Mayer is a good option. But Brian Branch, just a super high upside safety / slot corner, and it does fit exactly what the Packers draft history has said. You guys are probably going to be losing Adrian Amos, so being able to get somebody like Brian Branch, never a bad thing. So let's continue here. Pick number 17. We're moving along. So first pick was Joey Porter. Could we have gotten Cam Smith at this pick? No. So we're pretty happy here. Cam Smith could have fallen because, other team would have drafted Joey Porter, etc. But at this spot, I'm happy. We got the position we needed the most. And I think that is pretty damn special. We could go edge rusher here. Jared Verse is on the board. Y'all know I love that combo. Joey Porter, Jared Verse. That's my ideal combo. Definitely fits, adds an extra pass rusher to your group. And he's not a liability against the run at all. It's just I'm not looking at him as an elite run defender the way that probably the Packers are trying to look for as well. Pick number 18. So Bryan Bresee is here, but we are going to take a high upside linebacker for this team in Trenton Simpson. Could you go after Anthony Richardson? Yes, but I'm trying to cool my roll on that after we saw pretty much quarterbacks fall to the third round last year with high upside. Trying to cool my roll just a little. Pick number 19 for the Jaguars. Bryan Bresee definitely is the perfect fit for this team. I could see them trying to go after another weapon. I would honestly try to trade back here. I would. I think Osiris Torrence is in consideration. Offensive line, never out of consideration. But there's also an elite left tackle here in Broderick Jones for teams that should be trying to move up for him. And I'm looking at teams, honestly, this could be pretty risky, but the Chiefs could try to make a big move here. That would be so fun. The Chiefs and the Bengals trying to make moves here. We're going to see. I would personally try to trade back to the Bengals pick first. So if they are available, they aren't. So thanks for that. But we're going to go after the Bengals pick. The Bengals are going to be moving up, and they're going to have to pay a little bit more than what they usually expect. They're going to have to pay that third round pick. So Jaguars fans, you have another third. But I think that the Bengals trying to get into this position, pretty crucial. And you have to be able to force that for them. Being able to get an elite tackle is everything. And Broderick Jones, I've never made that move before, but I totally think it's within the realm of possibility. Definitely worth it for both the Bengals as well as the Jaguars, who maybe in that third round spot you can draft an X build wide receiver. Definitely a good spot for him. Pick number 20. So Jordan Addison's still on the board. I'd personally want to trade back here, but I also see Anthony Richardson's here. I'm going to draft Anthony Richardson. Just sit and wait and be happy. Jordan Addison's on the board. I think this is probably one of the few positions where the Patriots don't necessarily need to draft it early, but it kind of fell into your lap. Offensive tackle just isn't good enough value at this point either. We've taken out the majority of the good offensive tackles, and for that, I think Jordan Addison got to be the move. But Bijan's also on the board. Can't forget about Bijan. But Jordan Addison going to be the pick. Pick number 22. So kind of just eviscerated the options, the best options for New York. I still think DB, you could end up going after someone like Garrett Williams, Devon Witherspoon. Those guys could definitely be good additions for you. But wide receiver, Jackson Smith-Njigba would not be bad. But I'd want to trade back, but I can't because I know the Ravens are lurking. Man, I'm going to do it. We're going to go Jackson Smith-Njigba. I haven't done this for this team. Getting a nice, reliable target seems to be your best path to success. You're not going to be upgrading from Daniel Jones. I've heard there's multiple year deals on the table for both him as well as Saquon Barkley. So, that's probably going to be a consistent theme. If you're going to have those guys, you want to have a reliable weapon. Jaxon Smith-Njigba, as long as he's healthy, is someone you can put as a backbone of your offense. Pick number 23 for the Ravens. Now, I want to see a team that might be looking at a defensive tackle. I'm not going to have any team trade it for Bryan Bresee. I'm looking at the guys available. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to curse a team with that. But there is Bijan here. I do think the Ravens could be in the running for Bijan. It's just they don't need much, and he is such an all-star. So is there a team in this range that could be looking for Bijan Robinson, though? And you could see the Cardinals, who just traded back and got an extra first-round pick, trying to move up and draft a stud running back. Now, you could see the Rams. They're ballsy as hell. And why wouldn't they try to make a move up here? The Steelers, no. I mean, these top three these teams here, they don't need it. Hold up. Oh, never mind. I was like, wait a second. I thought they changed the draft order. I was like, let's go. But I digress. I think that they don't have a partner to dance with. And this is going to be Bijan Robinson. I know it's crazy, but when you get an elite level running back that's somebody who's truly special, I think you make the trade. Or I think you make the pick. The Eagles, I was thinking about trading up for Bijan, but I don't know if Howie is necessarily that hungry for that trade up. But right here, this is going to be Bryan Bresee for the Chargers. You have some great mentors there in Khalil Mack as well as Joey Bosa that you can use as ways to train Bryan Bresee to be more consistent. So it's a good spot for him to go. I think Michael Mayer could be an option there, but the round 2 tight ends, everybody, round 2 tight ends are loaded. Pick number 25. So slot corner still is probably a position I would love to go for this team. I'm going to make another trade back. It doesn't seem very realistic, but I know that the Cowboys are lurking for a corner. And, I mean, I don't want to be that guy where I'm getting the leftovers from the Cowboys again. And the Cowboys have jumped the Eagles multiple times. I mean, not jumped them, but have kind of snagged guys multiple times. It started out with the Eagles getting Dallas Goedert, but then it ended up being CeeDee Lamb, and then obviously Micah Parsons ended up with that trade. So I think that you could try to move up and select Jalen Jones here, or you can sit back and get Eli Ricks. I mean, that's a toughie. That's a big toughie because I do see teams in here, even like Buffalo, that would be certainly interested in a boundary corner. Ooh, actually, no, we're making a trade up with the Eagles. We are. And here's the reason why. So when you're sitting here, I know this next pick, I'm either selecting a wide receiver or a corner. Those are my 2 positions I'm going to target there for the Vikings. Therefore, I know one of them is going to fall here. And then I'm probably going to take the other boundary corner here. So to give the middle finger to the Dallas Cowboys, the Eagles are going to trade up. I don't think that this costs the 75th overall pick. And y'all already have 3rd round picks. If you want to send a future 7th, do that. It's not going to affect this mock draft. But the Eagles are moving up. Okay. Oh, Lamau. I forgot to freaking select that this pick should have went to Philly. So there you go. The Philadelphia Eagles are apparently trying to trade up with their pick 51 as well. Here we go. Now we can just trade that for a future 2nd. We'll force the trade through. There you go. So the Eagles have now moved up. I was like, what the hell? It's just what happens. So the Eagles have now moved up. They're chilling. And they are going to select a corner here. Eli Ricks has personality concerns. Jalen Jones fits like a glove. One of my favorite players in the draft, hands down. My number 7 player in the draft. I'll scroll down so you guys get to see a little bit more. But my number 7 player in the draft, just somebody where you already know that the Vikings are going to be nabbing a corner. You're just saying, hey, we're taking away Jalen Jones and Eli Ricks from the Cowboys. But this spot, I mean, now you don't get Jalen Jones, but I do think that you could look at Devon Witherspoon as well. Eli Ricks just ended up declaring, which it wasn't like I thought he was going to return. I personally did, and he got some good news. He's a really talented corner, and I think that this would be a great spot for him to go. So Eli Ricks, it is. Dallas, you could go Devon Witherspoon. I don't think you do. I'm going to go for the high upside guard here in O'Cyrus Torrence. Definitely flashes. You guys have gone after the high upside younger offensive lineman, even though they have some negatives like Tyler Smith, one of my guys last year. O'Cyrus Torrence definitely can be a huge superstar if he ends up panning out. Offensive linemen usually do there for the Cowboys. Now, right guard, not necessarily, I believe, the position you need to address, but O'Cyrus Torrence, I'm more than confident can move to left guard. It's not the way that a left or right tackle has to deal with it, because you still have guys on both sides of you. So O'Cyrus Torrence, probably the best option for the team, given what's left on the board. Pick number 28. This is probably going to be Darnell Wright. It is. We're going to go Darnell Wright here. Getting a left and right tackle weapon is never a bad thing. So going after Darnell Wright is probably just the best value on the board. Trading back, you're going to be giving him essentially to the Bills or the Chiefs. So going to be kind of nice to give a middle finger to your own division. Pick number 29. We're not doing this because of what happened to DeMar. And I talked about this in yesterday's mock draft, so I'm not going to go ad nauseum about it. But I'm getting this because of the fact that both the other safeties are up for a contract. Has nothing to do with DeMar. Again, hopefully he makes a great recovery. And if you guys want to see my thoughts on it, I talked about it yesterday. But Antonio Johnston, going to be there to replace Micah Hyde or Jordan Poyer. Pick number 30 for Kansas City. I think edge rusher needs to be the move. Defensive line, no longer available. And like Felix Anudike-Uzomah, going to be an option. Andre Carter, going to be an option. I mean, hell, all these guys are just great players. And I think Felix might be one of those guys who just ends up in the first. So we'll give him some more respect. He's my number 14 or 13 player in the draft. Number 13 player in the draft. He's a great player. Pick number 31. Jaguars have traded back twice, acquired a third and a fourth round pick by doing so. And with this spot, I would love to go Michael Mayer for this team. I would love to potentially go an X wide receiver for this team. Not seeing the guy who's going to be an X. Jalen Hyatt would not be a bad choice. Would not be a bad choice at all. And I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on that. I've never gone Michael Mayer for this squad. But I am seeing guys like Andrew Vorhees who could step in and be an instant impact at that guard spot. I think that's the best value. I think it is. You got a third and a fourth round pick, and you're getting a starter. I don't want Ben Barch ever playing a snap. So that is going to be where I am going to go. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for supporting me as always. See you on the far side. Peace.